So today we're going to crack open this letter that's, believe it or not, almost 2,000 years old. And inside is one of the most radical, most countercultural blueprints for how to live together you'll ever find. Seriously, it takes everything we think about power, about status, about what it means to be great, and just flips it on its head. All right, let's get into it. But before we go any further, just think about that question for a second. What does true greatness actually look like to you? What comes to mind? Is it climbing the corporate ladder? Gaining a ton of influence? Maybe building a personal brand? Just hold that thought, because the answer we're about to explore is probably going to challenge, well, just about every assumption our world makes. So, where does this wild blueprint even come from? Well, it's from a letter written by the Apostle Paul to a church he really loved in a Roman city called Philippi. And, he's not writing some abstract theology here. He's trying to solve a very real, a very human problem. Turns out, even this amazing church was struggling. You had personality clashes, people's egos getting in the way. Sound familiar at all? The whole community was starting to fracture because everyone was just looking out for number one. And Paul's solution? It wasn't just another list of rules. No, it was a call for a complete rewiring of how they thought. Okay, to really get what Paul's saying here, we have to zoom in on this one specific Greek word he uses, phroneo. See, when he says, let this mind be in you, he's not just talking about, a quick thought that passes through your head. Not at all. He's talking about a deep, settled attitude that basically runs your whole life. It's like your default setting, your standard operating procedure. And to show them what that really looks like in action, he points to the ultimate example. So what does this new mindset look like, practically? Well, Paul doesn't just describe it, he shows it. He actually pivots from the problem they're having in their community to the ultimate pattern they should be following. And he does it by quoting what a lot of scholars think was an ancient hymn, a song the first Christians were probably already singing about Jesus. That's right, this probably isn't just Paul's own writing. It's a song that was likely already echoing in their homes when they gathered together. It's this beautiful, cosmic-level poem about God becoming human, and it's the absolute key to unlocking this new way of thinking. The hymn kicks off at the highest possible point you can imagine. Jesus exists in the very nature of God, right? He has all the status, all the power that goes with that. But, and this is the crucial first step in this downward journey, he doesn't view that equality as a weapon or as some tool to be used for his own benefit. The Greek word here is fascinating. It's harpagmos. It means something you grab, something you seize by force, like a prize you clutch tightly in your hands. But the hymn says Jesus didn't do that. It's like he held his divine status with open hands. It wasn't some trophy to show off. So if he didn't cling to it, what did he do? Well, he emptied himself. And this is the next totally shocking step down. He willingly, voluntarily set aside his privileges to become not just a human, but a servant. This idea is so profound it has its own name, kenosis. Now, this doesn't mean Jesus stopped being God. It means he voluntarily laid aside the independent use of his divine glory. Think of it like this. Imagine a billionaire choosing to live in total poverty just to truly understand what the homeless go through. And now multiply that by infinity. That's kind of what's happening here. And the descent, it doesn't even stop there. He goes all the way to the absolute bottom. You have to understand, in the Roman world, crucifixion wasn't just a way to die. It was the ultimate public shame, reserved for slaves and the worst criminals. The creator of the entire universe willingly submitted himself to the most humiliating death imaginable. But that is not where the story ends. This is the great reversal. Because of this incredible act of self-humiliation, God raises him up, exalts him to the highest place. And that's the core of Paul's whole point. This downward path is what actually leads to ultimate glory. Now, to get just how mind-blowing that idea was, we have to look at the world they were living in. Okay, to really feel the weight of how revolutionary this was, we've got to put ourselves in the shoes of the people hearing this for the very first time. The folks in Philippi, they were proud Roman citizens. Their entire world was built on a very rigid pyramid of power. You climbed the social ladder, you collected honor, you worshipped power, and at the very top of that pyramid, you had Caesar, who was often treated like a god on earth. So get this. When the hymn ends with that massive declaration, Jesus the Messiah is Lord, That wasn't just some nice religious phrase. It was a direct, head-on challenge to the entire Roman system. The word for Lord, Kyrios, that was the exact title they used for Caesar. So for them to say Jesus is Kyrios, wow, that wasn't just a quiet personal belief. That was an explosive, deeply political statement. It was basically saying, my ultimate allegiance isn't to the guy in the palace in Rome. It's to this crucified servant. I mean, when you put all the pieces together, you start to see just how shocking this was for them. Their Lord, their Kyrios, was someone who died a slave's death. The very title they used for him was supposed to be reserved for the most powerful man on earth. The central message here is that the God of the universe won, not by conquering and crushing, but by becoming a servant. This just completely inverted their entire understanding of power. But Paul doesn't just leave this as some beautiful, abstract idea hanging in the air. Oh no, he immediately brings it right back down to earth to show the Philippians what it actually looks like to live this mindset out. He tells them to work out your salvation. Now, I know that phrase can sound a little intimidating, right? Like we're supposed to earn God's favor through all our own anxious work. But that's not what he means, not at all. You know, a really helpful way to think about it is like developing an old-school photograph. The picture has already been taken. God has already done the work. Our job is to live it out, to step into the process that brings what's already there into full living color, all the while realizing with awe that it's God himself who is working in us to make it happen. And then, just to make sure they get it, he gives them flesh and blood examples. He points to his friends, Timothy and Epaphroditus. And these aren't just casual travel updates. These guys are living, breathing illustrations of that kenosis, that self-emptying he just described. Timothy, he genuinely puts other people first. And Epaphroditus, this guy literally risked his own life for the sake of others. They are the theory put into practice. So let's pull all these threads together. What's the lasting impact of this ancient blueprint? Well, it's nothing short of a complete redefinition of what it even means to be great. Here it is, the stunning twist at the very heart of this whole passage. See, in our world, the way up is up. You climb, you achieve, you acquire more status. But in the upside-down reality Paul is describing, the path to true glory, to exaltation, is actually down. The path to the crown is through the cross. The way you find your life is by giving it away for the sake of others. This just says it all, doesn't it? True greatness isn't measured by the status you can achieve for yourself, but by the service you give to others. It's not about being the most important person in the room. It's about making sure everyone else in the room is seen and cared for. And really, that leaves us with one final question to just sit with. What if this became our standard operating procedure? What if we actually stopped jockeying for position and started genuinely looking out for the interest of others, in our families, in our jobs, in our communities? How would this ancient blueprint for turning power upside down actually change your world?